It's common knowledge that launch is the most profitable season for an indie game, but this has not been the case for my spellcrafting game. In October of 2024, I thought my game was going to drift into obscurity, but little did I know that I was about to have my best year yet, setting a new personal record for peak concurrent players at 8 times the previous record, and selling as many copies in a month as I had sold over the entire lifetime of the game to that point. So this strategy that I'm about to share with you sounds obvious, but without it, I absolutely would not have had as much success as I've had this year. So stick with me, I'm going to give you all the context and lay out exactly why this strategy works so well. So here it is. There are essentially 3 buckets that you have to consider when it comes to pouring your effort into your indie game. There is the game itself and making it genuinely fun. And that's obvious. If the game gets bad reviews, it's not going to do well. Now, a lot of people can do that, but the other 2 buckets are actually just as important as the game itself. The middle bucket is the game's presentation. This is how it comes off to people when they see it for the first time. Now, there are games that are massively successful without this. Dwarf Fortress is a fantastic example. It doesn't or didn't used to have great presentation, but it was such a deep and amazing game that it succeeded in spite of that. Now, I'm never going to create a game as great as Dwarf Fortress, so if I want to succeed, I can't rely on being an exception. So presentation, for example, is like the game's store page, its trailer, and its screenshots. And then the final bucket is awareness. And it works like this. If someone has never heard of your game, they can't become a customer. If they've heard of it, but it doesn't look appealing, they won't become a customer. And if they've heard of it and it looks appealing, but it doesn't perform well, it doesn't deliver on that promise, then they probably won't buy it because it has bad reviews. So here's the part where this strategy is deeper than it sounds. I spent 99% of my effort on the first bucket. I had a trailer and I had a store page and I was marketing it, so you might say I was doing all 3 things, but most of my daily effort was going to improving the game. And now my game Spellmasons already has hours of enjoyable content in it. And so what that means is all of the improvements that I was making, these are for existing players who already know and love the game. But that's not going to help convert people who have never heard of it or people who are considering it into players for the first time. And so once I had this realization, it came to me that the most leveraged action that I can take is to pour more effort into these 2 buckets because there was an imbalance. I put so much time and energy into making the game good and enjoyable, but I barely put any time into its presentation or its awareness. So the first thing that I did is I completely redid my Steam store page an entire 2 years after release. I redid all of the GIFs, I rewrote all of the copy, I redid screenshots, and I remade the trailer. And that actually didn't take so much time. It was probably only 20 hours of work. But the impact of that small investment is astronomical. If you've heard of a sales funnel, it works like this. Potential customers are at the top of the funnel. These are people that say see your game for the very first time. And then as the funnel shrinks, you lose players along the way. Maybe they realize it's not the right genre that they like, or maybe they don't like pixel art graphics, or maybe it has bad reviews or something like that. And so in e-commerce, like on a Shopify website, you have people that like visit your website at the top of the funnel, people that look at a product further down the funnel, people that put a product in their cart even further down the funnel, and then at the bottom of the funnel, people who actually check out and pay for the item. And you lose a number of people at each step of the funnel. Game development works exactly the same way. You have people who are aware of your game, people who decide that they like it and that it looks good and maybe they put it on their wish list, and then people that actually purchase your game and play it, and then even an even smaller group of people that review your game. So after 2 years of my game existing, the most important thing that I could do was widen the top of the funnel. I had to make sure that more people found out about the game, and then that it looked desirable, and then I could continue pouring effort into making the game an enjoyable experience. So now let's get into the awareness bucket, because as a game developer myself, I hated the idea of marketing. I just wanted to make my game. Just leave me alone, let me make my game. But unfortunately, you have to be shouting it from the rooftops. You have to tell people that it exists, or else nobody's going to find it. Because again, I'm not relying on my work being as good as Dwarf Fortress or Minecraft, where it can just spread by word of mouth. Those are the exceptions. So then the question becomes, how do you tell people about your game? Because I had been posting, I had made posts on Reddit, and I had made social media posts, and my views were very, very low. And so what happened in October of 2024 is my best friend made a challenge to me. He said, I challenge you to make 5 YouTube shorts every single week until Christmas. And I failed the challenge. However, I got something really important out of it. I learned how to make good content. And so let me hit you with a definition right now. Good content either educates or entertains, and ideally delivers on its promise. So we're all sick of YouTube videos with catchy thumbnails and titles that don't really deliver on what they're promising. So it's important to stay genuine, and that can be difficult, but I believe it's worth it in the long run, and it's something that I am striving to do. And then secondly, the video either has to educate or entertain or both. And the way that you do that well is by becoming a good storyteller. I studied a lot of content during that time, and what I found was the videos that I most enjoyed watching were the ones that told a good story. And so I shifted from saying, I made this thing, will you please enjoy it and purchase it, which is not a good story. I shifted from that to my experience as a game developer and then interesting things inside of my game. Rather than just saying, look, I made something, I'm saying, look at this experience I had in my game, or look at what can be done in my game. And so I had some early success in YouTube. I had a video hit 10,000 views, and that was astronomical for me because most of my videos had been extremely obscure. And so that kind of lit a fire under me because I thought, okay, I can do this. I can get incrementally better. In the same way that I've gotten incrementally better at programming and game design, I can get incrementally better at storytelling and spreading the word about my game. And so I kept going. And I had a video that hit 14,000 views and 17,000 views. And then something unbelievable happened. I started cross-posting my videos to TikTok and Instagram. That December, one of my TikTok videos absolutely took off. It was the same video that I had posted on YouTube, but I learned a very important lesson, and that's that the audiences on the different platforms, they like different things. And so when I was experimenting and trying a lot of different things, I didn't know it at the time, but it's actually important that I posted on every platform because some people over here are going to really enjoy a video and then some people over here are not. And so if you put a lot of thought and effort into the videos that you create, it makes sense to spend the extra 5 or 10 minutes and put it on multiple platforms and offer it to those different audiences. One caveat though, I actually ended up having to recreate my TikTok account. You see, I had posted a few very poor quality videos years ago because I was doing marketing like I was supposed to, and so my impressions were extremely low. You see, when you're starting fresh on a social media account, one thing that can be important to pay attention to, not too close, but can be important, is impressions, which is how many times a video is shown to somebody, as opposed to people who stick around and watch a video, which is considered a view. And if your impressions are super low, that means you're not even getting a chance. Even if it's a good video, it's not even being offered to people to find out that it's a good video. And so my very old TikTok account that had like just a handful of very, very poor videos was getting really low impressions. And when I reposted my best YouTube video on that channel, it only got like 7 views. And so I deleted that channel and I created a new channel, and then my impressions were much better. Now, the very first video didn't take off, but at least it was being given a chance by the algorithm. So how did this impact my game? Well, as I said, in December of 2024, one of my videos took off big time on TikTok. That resulted in a massive amount of wish lists and eventually purchases. And that was tremendously encouraging, but what was even better is soon thereafter, I got an email from Steam inviting me to participate in a daily deal. A daily deal is huge, especially for indie developers. This means that they put your game on the homepage, which has massive visibility. And so I got to work in preparation for the daily deal. To make the most of it, it was important that I created custom capsule artwork and released a major content update. And so I had an idea. You see, in my game Spellmasons, you're a wizard that has a spell book full of spells that you can combine together in interesting ways. And that's the core mechanic of the game. But I realized, what if I created wizards that operated entirely differently? Like they still had access to the same spells, but they had completely different casting mechanics. That would be a perfect update to celebrate the daily deal. And so I took the 2 bosses in the game, Goru, the Corpse Warlock, and the Death Mason. I decided that I wanted the Death Mason to cast with cards instead of mana, and I wanted Goru to cast with souls of fallen enemies instead of mana. Now, this video isn't about my game, but I just wanted to set the stage. So I created 2 new wizards that fundamentally changed the way that the game was played, and a few other important updates. I created what's called a capsule art override. In Steam, you're not supposed to change your capsule art often, but if there is a special event or a big update, you can create an override which lasts for up to 30 days. And so I took my capsule art and added something to show that there had been a major update. And finally, the daily deal came. I was very nervous, and I set myself up to live stream for a few hours during the daily deal so that people who came to visit the page could see someone playing. And I took a peek at sales during the daily deal, and then I forbade myself to look at it for another 24 hours because I knew I was just going to keep refreshing the page. And it did way better than I was expecting. Before the daily deal, the peak amount of concurrent players playing Spellmasons was around 144, and due to the daily deal, that number skyrocketed to 1,160, which was so amazing. It also brought in a ton of new players and a ton of excitement about the game, and I was just so elated. After months of preparation, it had definitely paid off. But the takeaway is that as an indie developer, make sure you've put the right amount of time into each of these 3 buckets. It's tempting to just work on your game. It's tempting to pour all of your time and effort into that. But don't rely on word of mouth. Make it presentable, make it attractive, and then tell people about it. Craft compelling stories about your game. It offers something special. It's special to you. My game is special to me. You created it because you have a love for something. So get that across. Tell that story. And with that, you will introduce people to the game. Some of them will come and look at the store. It will look beautiful and compelling, even if it's pixel art, like mine is. And then some of those people will convert into players. Don't buy into the idea that launch determines the success of your game. If you haven't done super professional and polished marketing, chances are there is a huge amount of opportunity waiting for you if you can just get these 3 buckets right. I wish you all good luck and success in your endeavors.